welcome. I'm going to talk in English as Kasper, he's from Holland. So I guess he hasn't, even though he works with a Danish company, he probably isn't ready for the Danish tour yet. So I think we'll just slowly start here, because I also know that you are all very busy people in the good way, hopefully. So I think we should just jump into it. This is very much like a check-in meeting where we like, okay, where are people? And then David Bowens will also give an introduction to what to think about in the when you're making a contract. And then we'll also in the end talk about, okay, how could we do things about coordinating? But let's start with a like brief, where are we right now? So if we could just like have a, and I just want to just also say, people are where they are, and that's how it is. So it's really not about, oh no, they already got a contract like 2 years ago. So it's more like, okay, this is very much updating each other, and also encouraging the collaboration spirit in this. Okay, so maybe we could start with Sigrid, and if you could tell who you're working with, what where you are, like the status, how far are you with your contract? I know, but so the others also know. And yeah, and what your next steps are.
Sure. I have a kid in the background with the fever and coughing, so but now I have to unmute. So my name is Sigrid. I'm working for Granhøj Dans in this how to say relation. We are going to Edinburgh Fringe with 4 shows. So we will do a run from the very start of the Edinburgh Fringe to the final end. And during this period, we will present hello, Pilde, Tilde and Peter. We will present 4 shows. We will start with a small solo performance, and then we will do like 1 week of each of the other shows, yeah, we are good. I think we are ready for do the registration. We are going to be at Dance Space, and as I understand, Dance Space would like to do all the registrations for all the companies. So this we are, yeah. We hope to be able to register before the early bird is expired. Was that some kind of update?
That was great.
Good. I unmute.
And then Marlene, maybe you could go on.
Yes. Well, my name is Marlene, and I'm representing Don Gnu, and we will be performing at Zoo Venues with our piece called Walkman, and we already did the contract 2 years ago, and have been rolling it over since. So now we're finally gonna go, and we're gonna perform 2 weeks at the Zoo Venue in the end of the festival. And yeah, I don't know what's next. We have started looking for apartments and planning the production, getting over there.
Great. Great. Annette or Pernille, you can decide.
I think Pernille is mostly listening in because she's new in the Edinburgh Fringe game and will be there as well. Yes, we also have this kind of rollover contract from like 2 years back, but we never signed it. So it's kind of, yeah, we're still working on it. We're going to be at Zoo Venues, same place as Don Gnu, and we're going to present Rocky. And we've been kind of really reluctant to make a decision about the length of how long time we would want it to be there. Because everybody says, you know, as long as possible because it's better. And then eventually we decided on a fortnight only and to be there at the same period as Don Gnu. But then we just found out that because we do Rocky, which has all these all this stuff, and there has to be built a trust and things like that, they want us the first and the second week. So now we're it's a bit up in the air what we do, whether we go back to being there full length or we see if we can be there week 3 and 4, and maybe build the trust and have it standing as was the initial idea, even though we're not performing week 1 and 2. So yeah, kind of a bit up in the air. I think this whole length business is really a challenge to decide on.
Yeah, it's also very much depending on budget.
Yeah, or that too. It's very much on budget. Yes. This is a very expensive game to be in. But yeah, so that's where we're at.
Cool. Kasper or Peter and Tilda, you decide?
Yeah, I was the contact to Edinburgh, but Peter and Tilda will correct me if I go wrong somewhere. We were invited in October with Asterion Schools, Romeo and Juliet, to come to Dance Space. And for Asterion Schools, I have had the same questions 5 times over. I answered them 5 times and asked my questions in return, and didn't get any answers, not real answers. And finally, it's really, really complicated, bad communication. I say it's poor management of Dance Space, and in the end, the invitation by Dance Space is withdrawn by Morak. So we are not in anymore.
Oh, so you don't have a venue anymore?
No.
No, okay.
The idea was to go and perform outdoor in the garden. And my question was whether we then still need to pay for the indoor venue if we wouldn't use it. And then, yes, we needed to pay it if we didn't use it. And then on my question, if then we could actually use it to be sure about the weather, it was really complicated to use the indoor venue. So it was a very unstable thing. I asked for serious information about what the deal would be, and I basically never got it in a serious way. Same goes for the period. It took a very long time to decide on what period we would be invited to come to Edinburgh. And Dance Space complained themselves about their own staff not being very professional. And when I admitted that it was indeed not so very professional, they were highly offended.
Okay. That sounds a little bit more conflict.
Yeah, we still would wish to go with the show if the circumstances allow it in a nice way. We know it's going to cost money. We know it's going to be an effort, but we would at least need to know what is the conditions and what would be the space to perform, and is it actually possible, etc. And we didn't get it clear until now.
But then we didn't join in that communication at all. So now we talk a bit with Morak from Dance Space if it's possible to find some kind of solution. So it's not it's not over yet. The whole thing.
So it's still up in the air.
Yeah, it's still up in the air. Yeah.
Okay.
But let's see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Well, let me know if you need something from the collaboration here. Just a second. Is my son coming home from school expecting me to be there? I'm not. Almost. So Pelle, you are kind of you're listening in now. You haven't attended the other meetings, but you have been at Edinburgh before. Maybe just briefly tell us a little bit where you're at.
Yes, of course. Hello, everybody, and thank you for being allowed to just join in and listening. We haven't got any funding, so but we are thinking about going anyway, and we have a contact to Summer Hall, but we haven't made a contract yet, and I have been very busy, so I haven't followed up yet, but I will do that tonight, and I will hopefully we will find a way of getting a full run over there this time also. And the full run for me is because this is an opportunity to get more opmærksomhed.
Attention, yes.
Attention, yes, thank you. For me, it's if we do it because I feel that that's the best way to do it if it's possible. But now, right now, we hope that we will do it, and for now, I'm just here to listen to get some good ideas from you all, hopefully.
And the show you're talking about is why?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's why it's a small show, a monologue. Why me? About a cancer monologue that we are translating and also playing at the Copenhagen stage, and then we'll take it further, hopefully. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And maybe Nikolai, you can tell us where you're at, or just give us a brief update.
Yeah, and I'm representing Sisters Hope, and actually we're going there this year with the intention of bringing the work the year after, so in 23. So, and what we would like to present is our work, Sensuous Governing, which we also did in Copenhagen, and it's an intervention into existing city hall. So we have discussion with the city chambers of Edinburgh, and we also have a conversation with Summer Hall. So for this year, it's also great for us to go so we can learn from all of your experiences, and then we can learn from that until the year after, where we'll go there with the work. So that's quite nice.
Great. So, and now I'm kind of reaching out to David. He is normally incredibly on time, and however, he's not present right now. And I'm kind of wondering if something happened to him, because he's like really always there on time. Well, but maybe we could just like talk about, because we have like I could also I could share with you where it's at, this thing with the what's it called, with the deadlines. And we have some deadline. What I can tell is that we share some, we have, like, for the signature shows, we have this press response, or it's called a publicist. I'm almost there, David writes me now. Okay, great. So we have this publicist, Madeleine Bennett, and now also another one called Michelle, who used to be the head of press at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe Society. And she's also been at some head of press there, and so she's joining Madeleine. So they are going to be a team together and supporting each other there, and supporting this showcase. But that's for the signature shows. And I am now also in contact with the Danish Arts Foundation regarding recommending some of the shows to be in the, like, upgraded for the signature shows. So, but what we do need is, like, we're gonna do like some kind of sustainable printing of a program of the Danish shows, and for that we're gonna need some what's it called, some text and material, you know, all that kind of thing. And what we're gonna do this year, instead of what we've done the previous years, that we're gonna morph it all together. So the information that Madeleine needs and the information that we need and my team need in order to make the printing and all that, we're gonna morph that together, and then we're gonna put out some deadlines for that. I'm gonna go return to that now. David is entering, and just because I know that some of you are hurrying to something else, I just want to make sure that you get to hear what David has to tell. So how we're gonna say hello to David. Hi, David.
Hi, I'm so sorry I'm late, but the the 5-year financing for Flanders Art World has come out today, so everybody's been calling each other like crazy, and I didn't. Yeah, there we go. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm here. I'm sorry.
No. I was just saying to people that this is so unusual because David, he's always on time. He's always there. It's like totally unusual. However, I do get the thing with the Flanders 5-year thing. I guess that's pretty up there important. I totally understand.
It's weird to hear which of your colleagues still get money and which don't. So
yeah.
But okay. We'll spend more time. What are we doing here?
Well, thank you so much for taking the time anyway, David. Thanks a lot for that. So the reason why I invited you, because I spoke with some of the people here who were also questioning this thing about how to really make a good contract in the Edinburgh Festival Fringe context. And you have both as a producer of On Tour and Good and also as the producer of Big in Belgium, the Belgian showcase at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe for several years. You have been in the process of negotiating several contracts. So maybe you could share some things with us about, oh, not maybe, I know you're going to share something about that with us. And I asked you some questions on email this morning. Did you get them, or should I just briefly ask them again?
Because the situation today didn't.
No. Please, no worries at all. I'm just gonna because I'm pretty sure you can just tell me or tell us because you are. I mean, David is one of the person who has been so helpful also with this showcase, actually, because he was one of the first persons who shared with us how to do a national showcase. So back in 2017, he was very generous with his knowledge, and I'm very, very much very grateful for that. So now I've just put the questions in the chat. So, David, what parameters should you consider and make sure to include in a contract in the Edinburgh Festival Fringe framing?
Okay. I think the first thing you need to do is this is handy to know. Are you all still in search of a venue, or do you all know where you're going to play?
Not everybody. Some people have their venue decided. Some are now still up in the air. So it's kind of shared.
So yeah. This means that you still have to. That's the first thing. I think you have to negotiate it. It's with your venue is your time slot. So that's the most difficult thing in the Edinburgh Fringe is the setup and the breakdown time, which is very often something like 15 minutes. And you have to know that you can do this with your show. So this is something that you have to talk about in advance with your venue as much as possible. Like what are our technical specifications, what needs to be in the theater, what needs to be agreed in timing, like what's my setup time, how long can the show run for, what's my breakdown time. You have to make sure that all of that's negotiated very sharp, like by the minute, that you know, because very often you will get fined if you go over your time, because then you immediately enter the time of the one before or after you. So that's something that's they're very strict in that, almost all venues. So then the second thing is your technical capability, like what do you need to make the show work? How many lights? Do you need something special, like I don't know, a smoke thrower or some special effects box? Or you have to negotiate that with your venue as well. So to either bring it yourself or you rent it through them. But all of that has a price, and you have to make sure that that's in your contract, because if at the last minute your venue will have to add to the technical equipment. In Edinburgh, technical equipment can be hard to come by at the last minute because there's so much demand. So they might price that very steep for you if that's not clear. Or so these two, once you have that and you have an agreement with your venue, of course the important thing is your return. So what's your deal with your venue? Very often you rent the venue and you take the box office against that. But there are other models possible. You can agree with the venue to have a split box office, for instance, so that you don't pay the rent, but you do a 60-40 deal on ticketing, or that's all on the table. But a venue will very often ask for a rent if they're not convinced that the show will draw a lot of audience, because they if they have too little ticket revenue, then they are then they don't get the money they need. So be sure to try to get a box office split instead of a steady rent, but you'll somehow have to convince them that the theater will be full enough for them to see the advantage in a split. So that's especially for companies who come at the Fringe for the first time, that's very hard to do, because there's a lot of competition between shows, and a lot of shows don't attract a lot of audience because there's not enough audience for all these shows. That's a simple reality. So be sure that's clear how your revenue looks. And then in every Fringe contract, there are a lot of things that generate extra costs for you. There's that Fringe entry fee. There's something that very often a box office fee. Make sure that all the costs that are involved in your show, that they are in the contract, that they are clear, because some Fringe venues can be tough to negotiate something with after the fact. So they tend to say like, okay, this is our deal, and then if you need something extra, like use our box office, use our people who spread print around, or flyers, or all of that usually gets translated to some type of cost, and not always beforehand. So make sure to ask about the whole process of your show running in Edinburgh and what the costs are, and try to negotiate some out of them. Some venues will, bigger venues will have pretty strict deals. Like they will say, that's the way we work. Very often these are the better deals. They usually give you an amount of visibility, an amount of press attention, an amount of posters and flyers they will divide over the city. If that's all in your deal, that's, in Edinburgh, it's a pretty big plus, because if you have to do all these things yourself, it can cost you a lot of time and money. So that's a thing I would advise you to take good care of. So these are the first things that go through my head. Is there somebody has maybe a specific thing, or?
Yeah, are there any very specific questions or regarding this?
I would be curious about the other companies, where they are in their deal, and if they're happy with it, and split, and what kind of cost they have to pay for the venue.
I think for bigger venues, that usually will be quite equal. Like the deals for most companies will be about the same. I think there might be a difference if a company is known to attract a lot of audience, then they probably will get a better deal because their revenue is bigger. So the theater or the venue will try to get a part of that revenue more than asking for a fixed rent or something like that. But I think most split deals are usually a 60-40 in favor of the company. And that's what I've encountered the most. So this means, yeah, if you have £1,000 revenue, you take 600 of that, and the venue takes 400. Yeah.
Annette?
If you say 60-40,
Well, we have
David, is it then still that you pay for the venue, or is the split the deal?
Yeah, I would. If you manage to get a split deal, then of course you don't pay the rent for the venue. I think doing both is a bad deal. If you pay the rent for your venue and you also split your ticketing, that I think is not a very advantageous deal. But even if you rent the venue and you take your box office income, there will be costs that go off that box office income. There will probably be like an entry fee, there's a ticket handling system fee probably. So that's important to keep an eye on, that they don't cover you with costs, that you can still see like, okay, that's clear, that happens. You kind of have to create you have to negotiate to the point that it's really clear what the money they are asking from you. And I think from venue to venue, it will differ how easy that is. Some bigger venues have very, very clear deals, because they always work like that with every company, no matter what. But some smaller venues, yeah, will be more difficult to get all of that, yeah, clear. Yeah. It can take a while, such a negotiation, because there's not all the venues are run very professionally at the Fringe. Sometimes you deal with people who also kind of figure it out as they go along, and that can create difficulties along the way.
Yeah, thank you. And Ed, you also had a question?
No, it's not a question. It's just we have a box office split in 60-40 in our favor, like you said, David. But we only make money once we get above a certain amount, which is called a guarantee sum.
Yes.
And I think that's quite crucial information that came as a huge surprise for me when I budgeted last year, or the year before actually. So yeah, that's something to be very aware of. So you might have a really good sale, but if you have that deal, yes, it's hard to make money.
They call it a guarantee. That's like, so they give you the split deal, but they want to guarantee that at least they make that much.
Yes.
What I would try to do in that case is see if you can lower the guarantee bit. See if you can motivate, like, look, this amount of, calculate how many tickets you have to sell to get over your guarantee.
Yeah, I try to negotiate. That comes, I've made small steps, but it's, yeah, it's not a, yeah, it's not, it hasn't made a huge difference, but we're not done yet. So let's see.
So David, you have played with your company like 10 years or something like that at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, yeah. And so have if you want to tell, are you able to negotiate the guarantee sum, for example?
Yeah, the thing is, I'm rarely worried about guarantee sum, because our company easily goes over it, so then it doesn't matter. So it's but I think I've managed in several cases to negotiate that down, like a guarantee from £5,000 to £3,000 or things like that. With an argument of, look, this is how our finances look, and it seems like that guarantee seems very high for us. We really don't seem to be able to go over that. Then yeah, that's a hard one. So I would try to get that down, maybe even in favor of a bigger venue percentage or something. I think you have to be, you have to have a very successful show at the Fringe to sell out. So this means that you can't make your calculations on your total capacity of seats because you very probably won't make that. So this means that you have to look at it from a perspective of getting lower ticket income, and then those guarantees can be tricky. So yeah, I would try and negotiate that down a bit.
Mm-hmm. And what is actually up for, in your experience, what is up for negotiation?
Basically everything, but yeah, the bigger the venue, the less room there will be for negotiating, because they're running they're running it through a certain system. They have enough demand to fill their spaces, so they really won't back down from much. But you can always negotiate some extras, I think, like maybe extra flyer work, or maybe a bigger part of your ticket price. But it's hard to do when it's your first time. When you've been at the Fringe quite successfully and you come back, you have better cards to negotiate. For shows that come for the first time, it's more difficult. Maybe there's something to do from the Danish Arts platform perspective. I think, Karen, maybe you can say, like, okay, I've got this amount of shows. Can we make a better deal for several shows that are in the same venue or something like that? Maybe there is some scale advantage to be achieved. Yeah, in general, the bigger the venue, the less negotiation it will take, because the deal they will present will be clear. It's when you come to a smaller venue, people who are maybe who might have a looser way of working, then there's going to be much more on the table to negotiate with. But it's harder to run a show from a smaller venue, because they will probably promote themselves less in the totality of the Fringe. So there's an advantage to a bigger venue. They have usually big program books and a bigger audience passing through. So I think that's both. How do you say, the both parameters where it's between, like, you can go with a successful show to a smaller venue and probably make more money than go to a bigger venue. But if you're less sure of what your show will achieve, it's always better to have the support of a bigger venue where there is much more going on in general.
Yeah. Maybe, Malene, can I ask you, because you have also been going to Edinburgh Festival Fringe for several years in a row, except during the pandemic. So maybe you also, maybe you could you say a little bit about how you've been dealing with the contracts?
The past few times we had the 60-40 split deal with a guarantee sum. But like David said, normally we have earned that money, even though we haven't sold that many tickets. So I wouldn't worry too much about that as well. But we are not going there to make money. So we're going there with the to cut even, and then to promote our shows for international buyers. That's our main aim with being there. So we haven't earned any money on being there, but we haven't lost any money as well.
And
can I ask Melina a question? So what did you do the first time? Did you have a full run, or have you always done a fortnight?
No, we have never been there more than a few weeks. But everyone is saying that you have to be there all the weeks to get the most of it. But it's too expensive for us, and also we haven't had the option, as we have another productions and so. But the longer you are there, the more audience tend to get to come see the show. So I guess in the end of the run, if it's a good show, the word of mouth would provide you with more audiences.
Okay, so if you could, you would stay longer.
Yeah.
Okay.
David, maybe you can also, because maybe you have also like some experience from or you probably got some experience from the Big in Belgium. So you also got experience with the shows that has run like for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, like full run, or just a couple of runs. And that was a question before you entered this thing about what to decide on the. One thing is the time slot, but also the running time. How long are you going to be there? What are your reflections or your experience with that?
I would advise to go for a long run, because Fringe is very much a word-to-mouth festival. So popular shows become popular because people talk about it, and of course that takes some time. So this means that your audience, for the shows that work at a Fringe season, the audience grows exponentially throughout the festival. There is usually a show nobody heard of, where only a very adventurous audience buys tickets for, and then they advise people on what to see, and then you get a review somewhere, and you may win an award at a certain point, and then suddenly people will get more and more interest in your show. So this means that I've seen very often that shows actually had to leave the Fringe just when they kind of broke through, which means if they would be able to stay 1 or 2 weeks longer, they would have actually made up a lot of the loss they made in the first weeks. So it's that type of dynamic. You start with something small, and it has to grow during the Fringe, and that can only happen if you have enough time for that.
I can only second that. I mean, the last Fringes, like in 2019 and 2018, I worked with some shows actually from Denmark, Boas Barken's show, and Lene Bol, her sorry, that was like a blowout. Lene Bol and Boas Barken, and they both, like, one played like for 14 days and the other one for 18 days, and both of them left like when it was starting to get some attention, and it started to like peak over there. And I mean, not peak, but it started, like, people was suddenly aware of, okay, this is happening, I'm interested. And then they left. And I mean, that's it's not a very satisfying feeling. However, it's not that you can get something out of it, but it's just, there's just something in like building something up. Are there any other questions regarding contracts to David here, or something else? I mean, David is a very, very experienced when it comes to the Edinburgh Festival Fringe.
Right. I can say in general, it's in the Fringe, you have to have a different mindset than in a normal run of a theater show, because it's not that much about how many people see your show. It's very much about who sees the show.
Exactly.
And the idea of making an investment to go to the Fringe has to lead to more opportunities beyond the Fringe. So it's kind of it's more of a platform than a festival. So you have to make sure that you connect with people who can take your show somewhere else, and that's quite an important thing to do. There are a lot of Fringe functions for that. There are parties where programmers go to meet the artists and make sure that engage in that. Otherwise, it might all be less worth it than what you pay for it. It's an investment in the future life of your show, or your company. But yeah, that's what you need to keep in the back of your head when you do this.
Yeah, Annette?
Yeah, you probably already said part of it, but I was thinking if there were any sort of like do's and don'ts. Yeah, must do's.
Okay.
You can share, or something that was successful for you, or yeah, good tips.
Definitely a don't is don't come to the Fringe with too long a show. Make sure your show ideally is about an hour. Even if it would be a lot longer, think about whether your show can be shorter, because people who go to the Fringe sometimes see 6 to 7 shows a day. It's very different from your night at the opera. They spread, they buy. Some people are crazy. They see 100 shows in a month or something like that, and that's exciting in one way. But if your show's too long, you'll notice that the French audiences will have a shorter focus, because they're already with their head in the next show they want to see. So it's a big don't is don't play too long shows.
We have a long show. So
think about it, because I'm never a big fan of cutting into finished works, but if you see a possibility to bring a show at around an hour, then it can be. You have to see it as a platform, as a showcase, and a lot of people who watch it see it like that as well. So they want to have seen as many shows as they can, so they will be less inclined to see very long shows.
Yeah, I keep hearing that. I was just curious, because I understand that you want to see as many shows as possible, but do you only want to present 1 hour show? Like, do you know what I mean? Like when you bring something to your venue, they all have to be 1 hour.
A lot of venues want to bring as many shows as they can. So the longer the show, the less other shows they can bring in that day. So yeah, from a venue perspective, shorter shows are just a better deal. But from an audience perspective, of course, the first thing is they all want to have seen the hidden pearl at Fringe, and they don't mind that much if it's longer, if it's a really good one. But there is a lot of mass consumption at the Fringe that you don't find in other theater circuits. So people people there find it cool to see 6 shows a day and then be able to talk to other people about all the shows they've seen. And that's, yeah, that works against longer shows as well. So that, yeah, I would take a good look at your show and see how long it needs to be, because yeah, if you have a conversation with programmers, for instance, very often you will meet them there and you will have to fit your show in their schedule. And the longer the show, the harder that's going to be, because they have to see a show at 6 and they have to see one at 9, and maybe they can see your show at 7. But that's difficult if the one at 6 takes an hour and a half. That's a bit the kind of vibe you have there. Other don't stay. Engage in the festival. That's a do. Make sure that you know what functions there are at the festival, where you can meet people, where you can promote your show, what the channels are to do that. Because yeah, I've seen a few people fail at the Fringe by not engaging with it, by just showing up for a show and then leaving again. You have to actually really talk to people and go to see their shows and have a conversation with professionals and convince people to come to your show. It's like a market. You have to promote your product. That's but yeah. Be aware of the fact that that lodging is quite expensive in Edinburgh. I don't know how it works with the Danish platform, but that's the biggest cost from the whole thing. So yeah, make sure that that your living arrangements are well taken care of, and yeah, bring the best technician you can find. The best and most patient technician, and bring a technician who's very good in communicating, because what he or she will constantly run into is that the UK has an incredible amount of weird rules for everything. It's in the nature of British people. And you will only have good communication with them if you respect their weird rules all the time. And then you need a technician that's up for that's very social and has a good way with people, and also has a good technical knowledge, because some situations he'll find himself into in the Fringe with 8 shows, having to be at the same theater every day. It needs it always needs special solutions. You will always run. That's another thing I can say. Make sure that your build-up time is arranged very well. You will probably get like half a day of build-up or something, like at one of the 3 days before the whole mess starts, and make sure that you can do it in that time. I very often bring an extra technician specifically for that build-up period, who then leaves after the show runs. But it's something that you definitely need to take good care of, because once the show is set up, it's in there, it's very hard to find time to change anything, because there are always people performing. So you make sure you have a build-up time, and that maybe you have some extra time after your first actual show to make some corrections, because it's hard to get in the space when it's not your time to make changes or to make. So that's definitely important. Edinburgh is very rainy.
Yeah, it's true.
Bring a raincoat. That's my most important.
That's doable.
Check.
But don't forget it, because really it rains all the time. So
Yeah.
it's I once had a programmer who said to me, what I like most about Edinburgh is you can see 4 seasons in a walk. And he's not wrong. You can walk 2 streets and actually have been encountered. You actually have done spring, summer, winter, and it's incredible what the weather does in that town. But usually it does something wet. So
That's a good way of like wrapping it up. Yeah, that's a very simple tip.
Thank you. Thanks so much, David.
Yeah. Thank you so much, David. Unless anybody has further questions, I think you will not take more of your precious time. You should go back to all the conversations on phone.
No problem.
It was very nice.
Whatever you want to know, you can ask me, no problem.
Yeah, it's so great.
Can you tell me which venues you're thinking of? Where you're thinking of performing? That might help me a little bit as well.
We're at Zoo Venues with a long piece.
Zoo Venues is a good venue. They will probably help you out as best as they can. They're a little understaffed, but they're good people. I mean,
yeah.
Their heart's in the right place, so to say.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think too.
Are you at the zoo in Nicholson Street, the big one?
Yeah.
They're actually in the same theater. Yeah. We're performing there at 2.
Oh, cool. We're there around 6, I think. 5 to 6, a weird time, but 5 to 6.
And Malene, you are maybe
it's not a weird time. There's something you can say about time in the Fringe. The festival really runs for 12 hours a day, so be scared to perform in the afternoon. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Malene, Don Gnu, you are also performing at Zoo. What time are you performing? It's right before, or?
We're performing. I think it's at 12 o'clock.
So maybe you're actually right before Dave.
And you're probably the show before us. I suggest technicians might do. Yeah, but it can be very helpful.
Yeah, exactly.
I suggest our technicians talk to each other before they go. Karen can give you my contacts, or we can arrange that.
But actually, you know each other, because Malene, she's also the producer at the festival where you performed last year.
Ah, okay.
You performed with the show. You were there in 19 at Zoo Venues.
Yeah,
I was there as well. So. Yeah, okay. I have your contact.
Yeah.
Good.
Granu Dance and Asterions are invited in Dance Base on Grass Market.
Dance Base. I imagine you have a dance piece.
Yeah.
Just check it, because otherwise it would be a bit weird. But yes, Dance Base. I've never worked with them, but I know a lot of people who did. And for dance shows, it's the best space in Edinburgh. So I must say, dance shows in Edinburgh, I find that tough, because usually these shows are pretty physical, and to perform that for a long run, I know it depends what your show is exactly, of course, but it can be tough.
Yeah. And then Pelle, he's looking at Summer Hall. He's played there before with the show, like some years ago. I think it was in 2017, actually. Yeah.
Summer Hall is a great venue with a good reputation for international work. So you're always good there when you're not British. But Summer Hall is a very overcrowded venue. So the build-up times, setup times, they're all very tight. And yeah, they're not always the easiest persons to work with. They tend to be quite understaffed. And when you work with Summer Hall, I would say see if you can maybe get your own press agent, because they're horrible at that. They're really not good at promoting their shows. So, but it's a nice place and it attracts a lot of programmers because of the international vibe in the building. So yes, I'm definitely, they also don't have any big spaces. That's also a bit of a downside in Summer Hall. I think their biggest space is 7 meters wide or something. So, but it's a very nice venue and atmosphere. It's well run. Yeah. Someone else, or did we go through all the venues?
No, we get those are the venues that are in play, because not everybody here is so.
They're
But
all
thank
good
you.
venues.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, David. We'll catch up
Okay.
later. For the ones who don't know it, the ones who living in Denmark, is that David's show or the On Touring Good show, The Smile of Your Face, is playing at Copenhagen Stage this year. So don't miss it.
If you're, I'll be there as well, so then we can meet in person. If you're
Yes,
coming to see
exactly.
the show in Copenhagen, that would be cool. Yeah, good.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you so much, David.
Happy to do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I will leave.
Great. Thanks a lot, David. Take care. Great. Good. Well, then now we are in the session here where we are, I just want to make sure here. Great. So what we were talking about here is like, yeah, so the main thing here is that you can also meet David at Copenhagen Stage in the beginning of the festival if you're interested in that. And then we were talking, I just wanted to say all this thing he said about like very important to go to the social stuff. I mean, that's definitely a thing that where I think that we can contribute a lot. I mean, that's something that I'm very much aware of, and we are like I'm doing very much like the research and like look already have been like for several weeks or for several months been very much aware of what's happening when and so on, and I'll make sure that the Danes get invited to these things, and or that make sure that somehow we find out how to get you in, because it's quite good to do that. And of course it's good to have some nights home as well, or like some quiet nights. However, it is very much about going to these events, and we're also gonna do some events. We were looking into, I think I've mentioned that to most of you, we were looking into this the 14th of August. We're looking into doing something there. It's not totally confirmed, so it's not like a super set date, but that's kind of it. Just 2 secs. Yeah, this is mother at work. Yeah. Somebody's going to put soccer practice. Okay, so then I just so just be aware of this thing. And then there's also a format that I want to introduce also, like we do some kind of informal Danish table, which is like a little bit like people are also doing in ITM, that where we have like once a week on a set date. I'm just waiting until I know when you're playing, so we can put it on a time schedule where nobody at the Danish works are playing, so that, but there will be a time where we can join in. It's voluntary, but you can bring people along, so trying to make some kind of informal meetup there also in order to meet each other there. And it also can be like a place where people can talk with each other, also Danish people can just like meet each other there, and of course you can meet all other places as well, but just some like having like some kind of physical check-up. It can be sometimes, you can, even though you're very experienced, it can sometimes feel a little bit lonely. We can be a little bit lost in this big crowd. But that you're going to know so much more about that. Then there are some things about this, how and what we can coordinate in order to make it more affordable, practical, sustainable. The thing where David is talking about that Dunknu and On Touring Good, they can coordinate with the technicians. That's amazing, and those kind of things are definitely important. So in order to to coordinate things. There's been some talks about like coordinating some kind of apartment because some people are going there like for some periods and then not staying there the whole time, and then they are returning and so on. I would encourage that that people talk about these things with each other, and then maybe if there are like an apartment that are up for that where there is more space, and then please, I'll actually, I think I'll make this Facebook group, or I'll also send out a contact list so that it's easy for you to get in contact with each other, but simply to make sure that there is some kind of coordination. I know we have also talked about this thing about transportation of the scenography, and that could also be a good thing to look into. So I would definitely encourage that people talk with each other, and then also make it clear to the rest of the people, okay, this is what we're doing. Anybody else want to join this? Annette? I'm
a bit unclear who's actually there.
Who's actually there? Madeleine?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Melina.
Duncan is there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's, of course, Sigrid is there, and maybe there will be, and then the maybes are there's a Pelle, and there is Stellens Hus, and then there is also Signe, who is a Dane based in London. However, they are now nominated for the Underbelly for an Underbelly award, so they might actually get, if they win that, then they get to go to the Edinburgh Festival Fringe on paid by Underbelly. So those are the maybes. So there are three like confirmed, and then there are 3 maybes up in the air.
So what are you gonna do, like sort of a big rooming list, so to get an overview of? Yeah, because that would be really useful.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. So yeah, please speak up and say what makes sense to you. For example, Annette, what makes sense to you? Malene, what makes sense to you?
Are you asking?
Yes,
now?
yes,
okay,
yes, I'm asking now. Yeah.
But I already asked Melina about like whether we could possibly, just there was also just some general questions about, because Melina is experienced. And then Melina said also, if I'm not here for the full run, that's when we thought we were going to be there for a full run, which is kind of back on the table. But then Melina said, oh, we could also, maybe cover for each other, because somebody needs to be available for presenters after the show each night and stuff like that. So there seems to be lots of things to share, and I was also thinking like of sharing transport and things, but yeah, we're just a bit up in the air with the week 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have to figure out what it ends up with. But yeah, I think it's really important that we talk. And
I mean, some things, when it's decided clearly who is actually going there and when, then I think that group, we should have a talk together. I would also be interested in some kind of lodging, and we can also like help if there is anything, if there is at some point there are some people who are saying, okay, we cannot be here, then also we are also in the pool for, we can also help if we are there. So this thing, what I very, very much would like to encourage is this helping each other, and I think you already got it, but I mean that's definitely the spirit from here. Malene, and then Kasper. What are your thoughts, Malene?
Well, I think for accommodation, I think we would prefer to stay ourselves. I think I'm going to stay with the team, just to acknowledge it's a pretty hard month or weeks for the performers. So I don't think it would be a good idea to have a lot of strangers living in the same space.
Yeah.
So I don't think that would be relevant for us to share apartments. But of course, we are willing to help. We are a bit like, we have a lot of the plans already done because we have done it so many times before. So we're going to transport our set in our own van like we normally do. But of course, if there's space and if it somehow fits, we can take something with us. And yeah, of course, we are happy to help. in any way we can, and it is asking a lot of questions, and I think that's great to be able to help in any way I can. Yeah.
Great. Oh, Annette, we cannot hear you.
I just said thank you because it's just really useful that I can ask Malene.
Anytime.
Thanks. Oh, and about Katrine at Fix and Fox has been looking for flats and things like that. So I think it's a bit like Malene says, like, you know, we're already a lot of people perhaps in a flat. So yeah, maybe, yeah, that's it. That it should be a flat for 4 to 5 people, and that makes sense. That's already a lot of people.
In my experience, it's really important to have the space where you can just go home and relax, because you do a lot of social activities during your stay, and especially for the performers.
I just wanted to I just wanted to add on that, because I also need, I don't think, I'm not ready for like being involved in some kind of big community, like where we're living together, because I really need to also be able to withdraw and retreat and so on. So I totally get that one. But I think everything that can be like where help is needed, it should, it's really, we should just really help each other. Casper, do you have any?
Yeah, I have a suggestion I would wish to make. Maybe it could be an idea to share a Google Drive sheet between all of us, where everybody can put all their logistics in: contacts, mobile numbers, when you travel, when you perform, so that we can look at any time at each other's things. And you, Karen, in the same time have the perfect like overview of who is performing on what times and when would be a moment to all get together. I think that could be a logical thing. In a Facebook group, the image of the information gets spread out over and you lose control of it, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely. And we're also going to make like a folder on the Google Drive for the information and all the design tool and so on, so those people can use. Definitely. Then maybe I should just, if there aren't any other things, maybe I should just continue where I was in the beginning. So we'll make this, we'll send out this link for a Google sheet where you can fill in, or Google sheet where you can fill in the questions. And if you have already sent it, I can start up doing it. And transfer it, so you don't have double time, because that was something that there was some kind of the way that Madeleine made it for the first time. There were some things that went wrong there, so we'll make sure you don't have to do the double thing once again. And there the deadline for that is going to be on the 5th of April, like with putting all the details in there. And then what's going to happen, I'm also going to share that in the Google Drive with you. But what's going to happen is that in in May and June, they usually meet with press in Edinburgh, Glasgow, and London. However, they expect that it will be later on. So, but in order to, because nobody really knows how it's going to be this year. So in order to be ready, what we're going to do is that we're going to have the press material, the press releases and the press strategy, have that ready for the beginning of May, so that they can, if suddenly everything starts to roll like it used to do, then they'll be ready for that. And then they'll also have it if it's later that the meetings will happen and so on. So the strategy is very much being ready and like kind of following the earlier deadlines for when it comes to publicity, however counting on that it might be later. So that's but the key thing here is that we wanted to be ready so that they can be ready to go with the flow when it starts rolling. So the main deadline here will be the 5th of April, and then I'll also make sure to have a Google Drive document in there with deadlines so that they can be clear. So you can always go and look what's there, and then if there are some new deadlines, then you can also see them, so that you will have access to that Danish Edinburgh Festival Fringe 2022, and then where you can also make that sheet which Kasper is talking about regarding the logistics and the contact info and all that. So those are the things that is going to be like sent to you here like today or tomorrow. Are there any questions? And then, yeah, we should also make sure to have a date for a meeting in June. And then I just wanted to ask you when that would be great to do that. I'm thinking after Copenhagen stage. So, but any thoughts, questions, comments? Not really. Great. So if I place the meeting in June as like for the around the 20th or something like that, 20th of June, is that would be the no, that's not a good time. So enlighten me, when would be the good time?
We probably go on tour the 19th.
Mm-hmm.
So
so it's for you, it should be before the 19th.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We'll, make it like we could do like around the, I think as I recall, 18th is a Saturday or something like that. So it's around like 16th, 17th of June. How is that for everybody?
Yep.
Yeah, great. So so let's do that, and then please I just also want to thank you all because you've been really good at updating me and also letting me know what happens, and that's really crucial in order to like try to also when we meet this Thursday, I meet this Thursday with the other national showcases and the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, and I'm in contact with the ones who are doing the producers breakfast and things like that. So it's really good to be updated on what's happening. Also, if I hear some things in what you're doing, then maybe I can pitch it into to some of the what's it called, some of the things happening at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe in the center. So if they, yeah, so maybe some stories and so on. So it's really good when you update me. It helps me help you. So I just want to appreciate that you're actually doing that. Yeah. So is this it? Yeah. We shouldn't use more time. Hey, it's 15:45, just like. And I'm just timing. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's important to not have too long shows, as we just heard from David. Well, then I just want to wish you a good afternoon, and thank you for your time. And please let me know if anything, if any changes happens or anything like that. And then you'll receive some invitation to this Google Drive, and we'll start. And also an invitation to this PR kit that we need the information and the photos that we need from you. Cool. Well, take care.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was very useful. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.